Well, here we go. I'm pretty sure when I was 15 years old, taking my driver's test or getting my permit, this is what I imagined driving as an adult would be. I am here. In the front seat of my car is Sauda Namir, Burlesque star. In the back seat, Kevlar B Lightning, Burlesque star. And Big Daddy. He's Daddy. Really, he's a master of ceremonies. He's just a master of all things. And he is face painted and kind of creepy looking. You kind of made the kids nervous on the street tonight.
That's the goal.
Well, mission accomplished, sir. Well done. We're going to start this podcast recording here in a second. Before we do, I should acknowledge our sponsor, Boost Mobile. And Kevlar, are you going to read the sponsorship this week?
I will. Switch to Boost Mobile, where your taxes and fees are included on all plans. Plus, get 2 lines with 3 gigs of 4G LTE per line for just $50. All on a fast, reliable Sprint nationwide network.
There it is.
Yeah. Boost makes it easy to switch, and switching makes it easy to save.
Damn right. All right, hand that over. Job well done.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
I've always wanted to read the fine print on one of these. I don't think Boost expects me to do this on the podcast, but I've always wanted to do this. Offer ends 11/2/17. Primary line is $50 with second line $0 per month. The total sales price includes the charge for 1 services and 2 taxes and fees. Required 1 line to port in. Lines include unlimited talk, text, and data. Once high-speed data allotment reach speeds reduced to 2G speeds until next plan cycle. Coverage and offers not available everywhere. Restrictions apply.
It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
All right, so here we are. We are eating ice cream tonight. I have Burlesque stars eating ice cream in my car. Really, it's an embarrassment of riches happening here in the Mazda 3. And Big Daddy, you chose the place, didn't you?
I did. We love George's.
George's in Andersonville on Clark.
I have, and if you actually go to their Yelp page, you can read a review of their peanut butter sundae that I took almost 4 hours to write once because I was attempting to amuse myself with a Yelp review.
That's a long peanut butter sundae review.
It was a significant investment.
He does not mess around.
time.
He takes this stuff very seriously.
And it won Yelp Review of the Day when I wrote it. So
Well-
that's what you 4 hours of your time you trade it in, you get a little star next.
There's something for your mantle. All right, so what kind of ice cream did you get? Sauda, what do you have there?
I have the Exhausted Parent with brownie, and it's got bourbon in.
Well done.
Yeah,
It's bourbon espresso, right?
bourbon espresso ice cream. It's really,
You can
really
stay
good.
up to get home.
Grande Padre in the back seat. What did you have?
I'm rocking a Superman sundae with strawberries, whipped topping, and a delightful cherry on top.
And for the folks at home, what's in Superman?
That is vanilla, black cherry, and blue moon.
That is a great combination. That's
It really is.
That's a postmodern Neapolitan is what that is.
It is.
All right, so Kevlar, what do you have?
I have what I think is the best
Can
concoction.
you hold it up as best you can? Because it looked so ridiculous when you got
I'll
it.
spin it a little bit. It's a little melted. Also do a little tip for you. It is the Snap-O-Lantern, which is a spiced pumpkin and ginger snap ice cream. And on top is their all the time year-round Zanzibar chocolate, which is a nice rich dark chocolate. And then I put marshmallow cream on top. So if you're looking for a fun Halloween sundae, I got you.
That's it.
Ooh,
No.
spooky and delicious.
I also got the, what was it, the Snap-O-Lantern? Mm-hmm. I like pumpkin in the fall. I'm a basic bitch. I don't mind saying it. I got pumpkin, and I got the peppermint stick. I love peppermint stick ice cream.
You're playing with 2 seasons right there.
I am. I'm really just jumping right into fall and winter. I love, this is delicious ice cream.
Yeah.
It's chocolate shop ice cream.
It's
There are
like
a couple-
CVS. You have Halloween and Christmas going on at the same time.
Exactly. But the chocolate shop ice cream, there are a couple locations. There's one in Edgebrook over by Devon and Central where they sell this. It's amazing. There's one in Skokie, too. Best ice cream I've had.
Also, fun fact about George's here that I like. Last summer, they raised their employees' pay to $15 an hour. I think it ended up with being like less than 30 cents per item raised all across the board. But they wanted everyone to know, like, hey, the reason you got 30 cents more per ice cream is because we're paying our people a livable wage.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a great little bit of extra information.
Yeah, because you want them to be happy. Their job isn't easy. And they probably go home with ice cream hands, like sticky hands every night,
I'm sure.
which doesn't feel good. All right, so let's talk about Peep Show while we're here on Facebook Live.
Sure.
Big Daddy, is this your creation?
Well, it's a group creation. So I'm very lucky in that I work with some very talented people, and we decided that we would like to work together on a new variety and burlesque entertainment, and and I'm very grateful that they have come in and lent their talents and their drive and tenacity to the project. So it's brand new.
We had 2 shows.
Yeah, we only have 2 shows under our
So this
belt.
is it. Like, we're at ground zero for this production.
Correct.
Thankfully,
This
most
car
of us
eating ice cream tonight. We're here at the precipice of what will become this huge thing.
definitely, and
So
it's really
big.
great because all of us are well-seasoned performers. We all know our craft really well, so it makes coming together a whole lot easier. It's not like we're figuring everything out brand new. It's figuring out everything out together and how we work as a group.
I want you, if you're looking on Facebook right now, and if you're listening to the podcast, I apologize. Everyone in this car is dressed up for a burlesque production, except for me. We were in the ice cream joint, and Big Daddy wanted to take a selfie with all 4 of us, and I didn't even want to take a picture because I just stuck out so much. It looks like I was superimposed over a picture of you 3.
We should have put like at least some glitter on your eyebrows or something.
We
Right.
should have used a filter and given
Or
him like
pasties.
a crown of flowers or something.
Yeah. Speaking of glitter, that my front seat, my passenger seat, is toast, right?
It's never going to be the same.
Sauda is wearing a purple, a very, very fun dress there.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I like the flower. Very nice touch.
Adorable.
Talk to me about burlesque stage names. They're interesting. They're fun. They're not as fun as roller derby names.
They can be. I mean, I think
That's
mine's
intense.
pretty great.
Well, I think you're right in that there are some great roller derby names, but
Absolutely.
yeah, you'll hear some great burlesque names, especially in our community. There's some really creative people.
All right, so tell me where Sauda came from.
Sauda? Sauda Namir means dark kitten. So,
In what language?
in Persian.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, Kevlar B Lightning. Now, I should actually, before I have you explain, Kevlar B Lightning
Yes.
is the curvy cutie with a bulletproof booty.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
The
So,
tagline.
Yes.
the curvy cutie with a bulletproof beauty. So why Kevlar B Lightning?
It's really funny. Is when I was creating a stage name, I was kind of like Kevlar. It's an incredible fabric. I'm an engineer by trade, so the material science behind Kevlar is really fucking cool. And if you don't want me to swear, you gotta tell me now. It's gonna happen a lot.
We're
I
late
knew
for
what I
that.
was getting into here. Let's
Good to
be
know.
clear. Yeah.
So I always thought the word Kevlar kind of sounded like a name. It kind of sounds like one to me, and Kev is really cute for like a nickname. And so I picked that first, and trying to find like a last name that fit. I did a bunch of like name generators on the internet. I did like a burlesque name generator, but I didn't like any of those because I was like Von Kitten, Latisse, and I'm like, I don't want that. That's not who I am as a performer. I'm not Kevlar Von Teese. It's not who I am.
No.
So I kept looking, and I think Lightning popped up as one of the names. I think on like a Rave Kid generator, like name generator. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like Lightning. I thought about it for a while. The most interesting thing is the B. The B stands for bitch. Because
Wait, now,
bitch is my middle name.
Big Daddy. If you can't see this, if you're listening on the podcast, Big Daddy's shaking his head with enthusiasm there.
Yeah, I was just noticing to myself that, of course, the engineer went through a trial process to find the end product.
My God, that's
using
true,
a
isn't it?
variety of sources, so her training came into play.
Nerdiness is the sexiest quality.
Yeah.
It is.
Is that true? Because Big Daddy and I were talking about comic books before you girls came in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Talking about graphic novels and single issues. Yeah, we were getting deep into it. Yeah.
Nerded
But
out.
as a lady, I always
we can
like-
keep going.
I always lived the idea of people like, oh yeah, Danger's my middle name, and as a woman, I'm like, no, bitch is my middle name.
It's
So if someone ever yells bitch, I'm like, yes, that's my middle name. How can I help you?
See, again, these are the differences between me and all of you. My middle name's Daniel. Nothing exciting about it.
Well, that'll come in handy.
It's
if anyone
okay. I gotta
yells
pick mine. So
Daniel at you on the street, you could say, yeah.
Let's take a step back. Burlesque is such a big presence, such a big scene here in Chicago. Your individual starts in burlesque, and we talked about this a little bit as we were waiting for ice cream. But I guess to the microphone, to the camera, how did you start in burlesque?
Well, way back, many, many moons ago, I started in hot and heavy burlesques, tributes to horror. And that was put on by Viva La Muerte, who has since moved on to Vegas, and she's a wildly successful entertainer. I really like horror, and I was pulled into
Wait, stop right there.
burlesque.
Favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie?
Yes.
Of all time ever?
Of all time ever.
Can I just pitch my own?
Yes.
Good answer.
Let's get to that, but first tell me the one that you're not in.
Okay. Favorite horror movie of all time ever? I'm gonna say...
I know
There are
it's a
so
hard.
many. See, because I really, really, really like old horror movies. Like
Mine's really
Cabinet
easy. Like my
of
favorite.
Caligari.
Mine is the original Halloween.
Okay.
I watch it every year. It's not like the best, like in terms of like any single thing, but I just love watching
You
it.
got Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance. I mean, that's great stuff.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It is. I really like old horror. I'll watch monster movies all day and all night.
Like all the old Hammer stuff, the Universal
Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
All right, so your movie is?
Okay. If I have to go new, I'm just going to say...
Your actual movie.
I'm going to say Dig Two Graves. Is my
Dig
favorite
Two
horror
Graves.
movie.
Available for streaming on Netflix.
It is not.
It is.
Dick Two Graves. If you
Dig.
look up Dick Two Graves, you get a whole different
It's a
movie.
different movie.
Don't look up Dick Two Graves.
Dig Two Graves.
Dig.
When you embark on a journey of revenge, dig Two Graves.
Ooh, that's good.
Yes, I'm like over here like wanting to like applaud you, but I'm like, there's a microphone in my face. Don't clap in don't clap in the microphone.
Just
Careful
snap
there,
it.
Kevlar.
Just snap it,
I'm
Kevlar.
like golf snapping over in the corner for you.
Big Daddy,
yes.
do you watch horror at all? Do you have
Well,
time for...
I'm a sensitive lad, and
And a fancy gentleman.
fancy gentlemen. Fancy. You got to watch out for fancy gentlemen, though. They could be sinister or wonderful, or both. Really,
Or both.
So I actually, when I was a kid, I used to have like really intense nightmares from horror movies. So I couldn't really watch them. But as I've gotten older, obviously I've outgrown that, and so I'm starting to discover them late in life. One of my favorites was The Devil's Backbone by Guillermo
del Toro.
Yeah.
Because that is
That's good.
an atmospheric, creepy. It's not about necessarily, like there's gore porn. I mean, that's definitely a thing and it's out there, and that's a whole other genre. I liked the ghost story of Devil's Backbone and how it playfully teased all of that out before the end reveal. So
I'll tell you, I mentioned this on the podcast before. One of my favorite movies from the past 2 years, I like those movies that are slow burners, where just that creepy sense of dread and foreboding just keeps building on itself. Another movie on Netflix called The Invitation, which is horror, thriller. Have any of you seen this?
No.
No.
Okay.
I'm like, that's why I'm like, let me listen.
I'm gonna.
All right, so
Noting that.
basic concept, it's a dinner party, and a guy is invited to his ex-wife's house. She's throwing a dinner party, and all their old friends are going to be there. The guy takes his current girlfriend. He has trepidation about it. He's not feeling really good about it.
Well, yeah, it's your ex-wife's house. That's weird.
Right. They get there, and everything on the surface looks normal-ish, but things progressively get a little more curious and uncomfortable, and he starts to think like, well, maybe I'm the asshole. Maybe I'm reading the room wrong. Things go completely out of control, and it has, I swear to God, the best ending I've seen in years.
Wow.
The Invitation.
Wow.
And it's a slow burn. It's not an immediate payoff. It is a gradual...
Now I know
just-
what my evening plans are.
I'm telling you, Kevlar, you'll love this. It's such a great movie.
Does it have like a Hitchcock pacing?
Yeah, it's not... It requires your attention, but the guy, I wish I knew the actor's name, he is so great as... He represents us. He's the only one who's not nuts in the movie. And you just kind of watch him go through it. And it's fantastic.
That's awesome.
All right, so back to Burlesque. You got your start...
Doing horror.
Right. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I tangented us with my horror burlesque. And now
Well, no, I took
dabble.
you... I
that was a
went-
good tangent, though.
Uh-huh. All right, Kevlar, when did you start?
I started about 4.5 years ago. Mine is actually a really weird story. I was in college, and I decided I was going to help the brand new feminist theater board. So the theater board kind of like works together, tries to put on plays and stuff like that. And I was their technical director, and we were doing one play, and we're like, well, we need a fundraiser for it. How do we, what do we do to fundraise? And the director of that play was like, well, my mom's a costume designer in LA, and she recently did a show about burlesque, made a bunch of costumes for it. I, did this history paper for one of my theater classes on burlesque. Why don't we do a burlesque show? And And we found one student at the college who did take classes at Vaudzilla. One was a dance major, and the other one, she was like a theater vocal, like trained student. So they were our directors. I put in air quotes because you can't see that on the radio. Yep, I realized that.
Air quotes, directors. Air quotes. End quotes.
So I think the first year we had about 20 students. And we took about 2 months, maybe 3. We did classes. We had some professionals come in and talk to us a couple times. The first year, I had a solo act. I had a group number I was in, and I was the host of the show. So we can say I enjoyed it. Since then...
So were you fearless going into this?
Kind of, yeah. I was like, well, this is a new thing. I love collecting skills. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do this. I'll figure out what this is about. And I enjoyed it a lot. This last year, they had me come back and do some classes this past spring. And I think they got up to about 110 students participating.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was great. Most of them were group numbers. There's like 6 or 7 people in it. So,
Well, and that, I'm sure, creates a sense of security and kind of cuts down or
Definitely.
limits the fear factor if you're up there with other people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that was your experience when you started, right?
Yeah, I started with some group numbers and duets. It's a lot of fun to dance with someone, so I still do a lot of duets now with my current partner.
it's funny, me and Sauda are actually thinking about making a holiday duet. Because right now, Peep Show has a lot of just solo performers. We have a couple duets, but most of us are solo performers because most of Chicago, burlesque scene is you get hired, you come in, you play your music, you do your act, you're done. Mm-hmm. So most people just have their solo numbers because that's the way, it's the easiest way to get out there to get paid. But now that Peep Show, starting with our troupe, we want to develop something new, something different, something that involves more people. So we want to do a duet because we're both like, you know what this show needs?
More
Group
atmosphere.
number.
Yeah.
I support this entirely.
Right.
Fantastic idea.
I think this is the first he's hearing.
Yes.
By the way, we're going to do a group number.
I'm on board 100%.
it's going to be at least a duet between the two of us.
Yeah, for sure.
Sold. We didn't mention, did we, where Peep Show plays?
Oh, well, I would be happy to do that for you. Why, Peep Show is available on the first Saturday of every month at the Playground Theater, 3209 North Halsted at 11:49 p.m. Tickets are available at www.bimbamburley.com.
bimbamburley.com.
Yes.
And since we were talking about horror, you're taking a Halloween-type theme next month, right?
That's
Yes.
true. Our show is called Crypt Tease, or Things That Go Bump and Grind in the Night.
Got it.
Sauda came up with that tagline, which is wonderful.
Things that go bump and grind in the
I
night.
Yeah.
can't say it without shimmying.
I know. What you can't see on the podcast is as he's saying that, me and Sauda are both like shimmying.
Shimmy, shimmy.
Yeah.
So we're just like, yes, bump and
Well,
grind.
and what
in
you
the
can't
night.
see also, Kevlar is wearing, what kind of dress are you wearing?
It's sort of a gown, but it's also like a wiggle dress, kind of. It's skin
Yeah, come over.
tight.
Get
I'm gonna like,
close to me.
I'm gonna like try to shout into the the
Yeah.
microphone.
Here,
Okay.
I'll get over. I'll move.
There's a lot of cleavage going on.
I didn't even notice.
God bless
You
America.
didn't notice? Oh, I'm not doing my job then.
You'll get it out there.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, and so this actually, it's one of the very few pieces of burlesque clothing I have that I didn't make myself. This is a Glinda from Pinup Girl Clothing
Lovely.
in the shade Ivory.
I got to say, I think you're both very tastefully dressed.
I feel bad, though, that I didn't wear something I made.
That's okay.
It's still,
I was
still
like,
a
oh
picture.
man, I should have promoted myself by wearing
Girl,
something.
when you wear it, you make
I didn't
it.
make this necklace, though.
What is that?
That's super
Oh,
pretty.
it's very stunning. Very stunning. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Facebook Live, thank you for watching. We're going to keep recording this podcast. This podcast will be available on carconcarne.com the week of the 25th. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Say bye, everybody. And we're also going to eat ice cream.
Bye, everybody.
It's important to eat ice cream when the camera's not looking.
Oh, I've been
This is
eating
so
the whole
good.
time.
This
I
is
killed
so
mine.
good.
My ice cream is done and
It's
gone.
done?
Also, funny enough, I realized I wasn't the only one having trouble eating my ice cream. I'm on the driver's side right now because that has slightly less space, and those who may not know, I'm much smaller than someone named Big Daddy.
So tiny.
So I took the space that's smaller.
Which, that was a noble sacrifice.
But the problem is, while I am left-handed and Big Daddy is right-handed, we both have been eating around a microphone.
You should have sat in the front.
It's like we're eating ice cream with chopsticks back here.
I know. I just
very
like
delicate.
as I was eating, I turned over and see Big Daddy also reaching. I'm going out under the microphone. He's reaching over the microphone.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm glad I'm not the only one struggling today.
Little game of Twister back there.
Yeah.
Delicious, delicious Twister.
Hey, Kevlar, you talked about basically doing everything in a show. I'm sure that the rush to get on stage, to get, do everything right on time, it's imperfect. I'm sure that
Of course.
there are times when you get out there and maybe you're not quite ready yet. Maybe talk about some of those times.
Well, first, it just reminds me of every stress dream I've ever had about burlesque.
Oh my
Everyone
God, the
starts.
nightmares.
I'm backstage getting ready, and someone's like, "Oh, you're next." They're saying your tagline right now. I'm not dressed, and I look over into my suitcase, and none of my costumes are there. That's the stress dream I've had several times.
Have you ever actually, either of you, been announced and not be ready to go, like really and truly have to like just run on as you are and go from there? Has that actually happened in a show?
I
I'm
had
far
something
too
happen.
neurotic.
They called me before I was supposed to go on.
Oh, they got their running order out of the
Yeah,
mix?
someone messed something up, and so there was like a 10-minute of just the host kind of doing a thing because the person who was supposed to be on wasn't ready, and I wasn't supposed to be on, so I wasn't ready. It wasn't good, but that was like years ago, and we've moved past that.
I think a question, if someone has not seen Burlesque, a very natural question is, what's the audience like? Is it mostly guys? Is it a mix?
There are a few kinds of audiences, but almost always there's more women than men.
Wait, I would never have expected that. Really?
It's usually an even split, but yeah, if you're going to have a differential, I would say there's always more women than men in the audience.
It's usually pretty balanced. I find that a lot of women enjoy the aspect of seeing burlesque dancers, usually women burlesque dancers, being confident and sexually empowered on stage.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Also, bachelorette parties freaking love going to burlesque shows.
True.
Because it's like, yeah, let's all get sexy together.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Plus, you learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
And you're going to
You're
need
like,
that
"Oh,
information.
Yeah, and it's funny too. The times that I've seen like a lady in the audience that maybe was trepidatious going into it, not sure what she was getting into, because if you're not experienced with it, you may have kind of an wild out there concept based upon either what the media has shown you in the few reflections of it, or strip clubs, which is what a common touchstone culturally. But I have consistently, every time, seen that trepidatious lady make it through the first act and then relax and go, oh, okay, this is in my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I can sit back and
get
enjoy
what's going
this.
on.
Yeah, and I've seen it converts every time. So I cannot remember the times where somebody said this is disgusting, or this is where you got a negative reaction. Usually it's a successful conversion.
Yeah, the only people I know who have negative reactions to it haven't seen burlesque.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are some women who are like, oh, that's so gross. It's just basically stripping. It's all about, pleasing men, yada, yada, yada. It's all about, the male gaze and whatnot, which I'm like, no, it's not.
Well, they're grossly uninformed.
Yeah.
And so when you challenge those opinions, they go away.
Yeah. And so that's what anyone who ever's like, oh, I don't like burlesque. I'm like, well, have you seen a show? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, then come see one and I'll show you what you're missing.
Well, 'cause it's theater.
Absolutely.
It's sexy,
a show.
empowered, often weird.
And each solo performance usually has a narrative base behind it, or a concept, or a hook, or something beyond clothes are coming off. I mean, the way to think of it is the clothes coming off is one aspect of it. In the same way, at an improv show, no props is an aspect of it, but it doesn't define it. I mean, in the same way that burlesque is creatively based by the individual performer. You're seeing them give you the vision they want on stage, and there's always something going on underneath the surface or overtly there for you to enjoy beyond the striptease.
All right, let's stop there. Let's talk about the individual vision. When you put together one of your numbers, what are you looking for, musically or thematically?
I'm Chicago's charismatic chameleon, and so oftentimes my music comes first. I'm addicted to a song, or I see a swatch of fabric, and I'm like, that's the character. And then build it off my costume.
My head 'cause I'm like, yes, these are the true things.
Well, it's individually direct. It's self-directed. It's my vision top to bottom. I create my own costumes and choreography, and I'll edit my music, so it's not just an off the radio track. Whether that's putting in sound cues or dialogue from movies.
Oh, that's cool.
I have a Shaun of the Dead act that I do for Halloween sometimes, and I've layered the clips from the movie over the music. So it tells a narrative
love
of
that.
me turning into a zombie.
That's so cool. Kevlar, how about you?
For me, it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes I just, like, again, sometimes it's a color. I know I have an act I've been touring with a little bit, and it was 2 winters ago. I remember I was at Target, and I saw this bra and panties that was this beautiful forest green, and I could not fucking leave the store without it. There was, like, no chance. Like, I saw it, like, 1 week before, and I came back the second week, I'm like, I can't not take
These
it.
girls are going home with me.
And it was just this gorgeous green, and I, a couple of weeks after that, I rhinestoned it, and then I did not use it for a year and a half. I used it once for sort of like a throwaway event, that they're like, oh, just bring a Christmas act, and I, like, wore the bra and, like, some red shorts, and I was like a Christmas tree. It was, like, a throwaway, like, nothing important. And then I think about March, I, like, actually developed it of this year, I developed it into an act. So I added pieces to it. I added a panel skirt. I put some shorts and a corset on. And I did that a little bit. And then I was like, you know what this act needs? A huge fucking boa.
And you should say that the song that you chose was Green Onions by Booker T. And
Which
the
is one of the
MGs.
all-time great instrumentals.
Fantastic,
It
right?
is. And it's the reason I picked that one, and that's what, like, kind of
It's
spurred it all,
timeless.
is I loved the bass line. I grew up listening to hip-hop. I love a really heavy bass line. And I was trying to figure out, how do I, as Kevlar, do classic burlesque, but still be true to me? The answer is 12-bar blues.
That's amazing.
Because I need something to shake my ass to. That's how I find music.
We all need that, Kevlar.
Yeah,
If I can't shake my ass to it, I do not want to dance to it.
it's true.
The burlesque scene, I mentioned this earlier, seems really strong and big in this city, and it has for really over a decade running. I mean, I'm very aware of it. Multiple productions, varying lengths. What's your perception? All 3 of you in the car, and it doesn't matter who answers. What's your perception of the scene here in Chicago?
I'll very briefly answer, because these ladies have much more interesting answers than I do. But
Good, then I'm glad you're first.
Yeah, let me get my crap out of the way, and I'll make it short. So, I started in January of 2004, and culturally they believe like 2000 was kind of the touchstone of the neo-burlesque revolution. And Chicago was one of the cities that got a strong burlesque scene. New York, Seattle, actually, not so much L.A., but those are the cities where you were seeing a revival that was feminist based, that was very empowering. And I remember when I was a patron first, and friends of mine were producing the classic Chicago burlesque show, the Belmont Burlesque Revue, and I think I went to 3 or 4 of them in a row. And the producers are friends of mine, so I'm there to support them as well. Before I got drafted in 2004, and at that time there were only 2 other shows in town, so there were 3 burlesque shows total. Back then there was a LGBTQ specific show at the Hot House. There was a show at the Lakeshore Theater, and then there was the Belmont Burlesque Revue. And then shortly thereafter, the fantastically talented Michelle Lamore created her Starlets and started that show as well. And at last count now, 13 years later, there are 60 or 70 troops and shows happening around the city of Chicago at any given time.
That's insane.
So it's a massive explosion in 13 years.
Which tells me, Big Daddy, it's a competitive scene. I mean,
Oh.
it's successful.
Yes,
It's very competitive.
Very.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to cut through, I would imagine.
it can be.
It can be.
There's a lot of very specific difficulties with it.
Challenges.
Challenges.
She'll say challenges.
Well, you know what the secret is, really, if you want to cut through? Eat ice cream in a car and record the whole fucking thing.
That's absolutely.
That's the plan.
That's our angle.
That's the secret to marketing success, clearly. All right, so what are your perceptions? All right,
I'll
come
let
on.
Sauda finish her bite.
Yes.
So I'll distract people with my voice and say, I've been here a much shorter time, so my view is much different. I've learned a lot from Sauda. She's helped me navigate some of the difficulties and challenges I've encountered as an independent performer. And it's been priceless to have her in my life.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, Kevlar.
That was
I'm
so
touched.
sweet.
And now you can talk because there's not food in your mouth.
Great. So, I've been around for a very long time, and I've watched the city go through these cycles, these ebbs and flows, where they go from mostly mercenary shows, traveling suitcase, bunch of hired gun performers coming together for
I
one
didn't
night
know what you
only.
meant by that. I assumed people got killed, but no.
I only do that in one of two of three. People get murdered in my acts a lot, but yeah. So we've gone through these very like piecemeal times, and then
plug
there will
and play
be,
is another way
yeah,
to call those.
plug and play. Very, very good, Kevlar. And then we'll go through very troop heavy times, and the entire career that I've been around, I have been fiercely independent. This is the first time that I've really put all in on a troop. So I have a lot of faith in this particular crew.
Yeah, well, and that your buy-in made me think, okay, dude, you need to get your shit together, because this is a talented performer who's been successfully having a career in Burley as an independent performer. If she's going to give you your time and her attention, you need to get your shit together. So,
well, it's very kind and
that's
super
good. It's a
appreciated.
good motivator. Fear of screwing it up.
All right, so again, the show is Peep Show.
Yes,
Yes,
Peep Show.
Peep Show.
And the address again, Big Daddy?
3209 North Halstead, the Playground Theater.
Is it through October, or is it through, when does it end?
We're booked now through December. We normally will be monthly on the first and third Saturdays with some alternations, but we picked up a couple of extra Saturdays in October because we have a lot of Halloween acts that we're excited to get out on the stage, and then we picked up an extra show in December as well because there's some fun holiday numbers to get out.
You can find all those dates on bimbamburley.com.
Look at that. And I would imagine Halloween lends itself to burlesque. The gothy type stuff, I'm sure, goes over well.
It's one of the busiest times of our year.
I would imagine.
Yeah. And you see some really wildly creative theatrical solos because people are creatively inspired by the Halloweeny. So, yes.
All right, so did everybody have fun?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Is it
Thanks
over?
so much for having
I know. I was like,
Did we
wait.
reach our
I was like,
climax?
this sounds like a closing is happening already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're winding down.
Well, it doesn't have to end.
Yeah. Let's keep this car party going.
You can find
still
us
have
on
ice
both
cream.
Facebook and Instagram.
I'm very proud of you for making that last. I couldn't. I just...
Mine was just
I can
finished
pace
mine a few
myself
minutes ago.
extraordinarily well.
I
I'm just
cannot.
saying. I have lasting power.
And that... Oh,
Ooh.
I don't even know what to say.
Thank you.
Then I've done my job.
Big Daddy?
I have nothing that's going to top that. That's your ender. That's your closer right there.
That's it. We're done. That's it. Thank you, Boost Mobile, for sponsoring the show. And thank you, everybody in the car. Sauda, Kevlar, Big Daddy. Big Daddy, you have a surname, don't you?
Oh, Big Daddy Issues.
That will never not be funny to me. That will never not be funny. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks for having us, James.